All right, that was Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressing the media right before the joint parliament session, making his remarks to the media ahead of the joint parliament session. Prime Minister Narendra Modi said, "Today, at the beginning of the budget session, I offer my respects to Goddess of Wealth, Ma Lakshmi." He also mentioned that the country has completed 75 years as a republic, and this is a matter of pride for the citizens. The people have elected me for the third time. As you know, this is the third full budget this is the first full budget of the third term now, and I believe that this budget will provide new energy towards the fulfillment of the goal of a Viksit Bharat by 2047, when we complete 100 years of independence. He also mentioned that in the third term, we will push the nation towards holistic progress in mission mode. Innovation, inclusion, investment have been a constant foundation for our economic roadmap. These were some of the key highlights from Prime Minister Modi's address to the media right before the joint session of the Parliament. Now, as you know, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman will be presenting her 8th consecutive union budget and has worked with key officials, including Finance Secretary, to prepare a budget of over 50 lakh crores for financial year 2026. The budget, of course, as you know, will have to address several challenges, including decelerating economic growth, falling value of the rupee against the US dollar, and moderation in consumption demand. The economic growth is expected to slow to a 4-year low of 6.4% in the financial year 2025. And this is the lowest growth since the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic, which hit the world in 2019. For more on this, we're now being joined by my correspondent colleague, Dharamjot Kaur. Dharamjot, thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast right now. We just heard Prime Minister Narendra Modi's statement right before the joint session of the Parliament. Dharamjot, I want to begin by asking you, going into this, what's the overall outlook?
Well, Heem, as you rightly mentioned, the economic outlook in the past year has not been very good with respect to the forecast that's been made. Many organizations are pegging economic growth for India to be at 6.4%, which is fairly less as compared to the 8.2% last year. Now, having said that, it is this particular slump in growth that needs to be the focal point of consideration for the Indian government with respect to boosting the economy and ensuring that it has a trickle-down effect in terms of the markets and also overall consumption and demand in the country. Now, to put that into perspective in layman terms, the middle class per se has an expectation from the budget tomorrow that there will be some respite in the taxation slabs, and there will also be a further simplification in terms of the tax filing process. So these are some of the key expectations that layman Indian taxpayer has from the budget session tomorrow. But what happens tomorrow will depend on the economic survey that will be tabled in Parliament today in a couple of hours from now, Heem. Once the government discusses and discloses how the growth has been, how the fiscal year has turned out, and what are the other socio-economic indicators of the country with respect to employment, with respect to the GDP, with respect to disposable income and other key factors. Also, the schemes that have been put in place in the past couple of years, how they have panned out, and what further course correction is needed. All of these factors will determine the key indicators and the key announcement in the budget session tomorrow, Heem.
Absolutely, Dharamjot. In fact, I was just going to come to that just regarding the expectations from the economic survey. Of course, if we talk about it, there are several challenges which require immediate attention. Some of the major ones that we're looking at the moment are decelerating economic growth, falling value of the rupee against the US dollar, and moderation in consumption demand. What are some of the expectations in those regards, Dharamjot?
Well, there is, as I've been saying since morning, there's a cautious, optimistic approach from investors with respect to how the budget pans out tomorrow and the kind of impact it has on people and markets and industries overall. As you mentioned, the rupee has been consistently falling with respect to the dollar. It has repeatedly touched record lows, which is definitely a cause for concern. Not to forget, the Trump administration has also raised some concern and has indicated some sort of volatility with respect to any potential retaliatory tariffs that India might have to face in the near future. None of those are confirmed. It's all talk so far, but these are factors that have put a sort of an uncertain mood following up to the budget tomorrow. Having said that, the market is still optimistic that tomorrow's announcements will at least set the ball rolling in terms of a course correction needed for the markets and for several industries overall as well. However, a lot of industry experts are not expecting any major announcement with respect to a lot of other specific industries like real estate, land, labor, and a lot of other schemes. But it depends, like I pointed out, it depends on what the economic survey indicates today. That will be a precursor to the budget tomorrow, Haim. We heard the Prime Minister talk about how the youth and women empowerment are two focal points with respect to long-term vision for a developed India. How that really pans out in terms of the key details of the budget tomorrow, again, that's the big question. We'll have to wait and see how that turns out, Haim.
Absolutely, Dharamjot, and as you mentioned earlier as well, taxpayers are wondering if the government will finally make the tax regime more attractive this time, and if the much needed or long awaited deductions and relief are on the horizon. Just for our viewers, once again, I just want to go through the key highlights from Prime Minister Modi's statements as well. He said that our country has completed 75 years and the people have elected me for a third time, and this is the first full budget, of course, as everyone knows, of the third term. And I believe that this budget will provide new energy towards fulfillment of the goal of Viksit Bharat by 2047, which is essentially when India completes 100 years of independence. And he also mentioned the nation will push the nation towards holistic progress, innovation, inclusion and investment. These were some of the things that he mentioned in his remarks to the media as well. How do you think the budget will help aid these initiatives, Dharamjot?
Well, Haim, again, a lot has been said in terms of the Prime Minister's speech giving a very, very positive outlook in terms of long-term growth and a long-term vision for Viksit Bharat, or for a developed country by 2047. Having said that, the more near-term and short-term goals with respect to the budget tomorrow and how this particular year pans out, the government will have to focus on a lot of course correction given the international uncertainty on the geopolitical front, uncertainty on the front of how America's new presidency is reacting in terms of policy overhaul with respect to their diplomatic ties and the kind of trade ties that they have with other countries, including India. So having said that, Haim, these are things that a lot of common people don't really understand. What's important to the common man, of the general layman Indian taxpayer, is how low can the taxes be, how much more respite, how much more money do they have in their pockets, how much more simplified can the tax process be. These are the key concerns that at least the Indian taxpayer is looking at.
Right, absolutely. Well, Dharamjot, thank you so much for bringing us the latest on that.